they'll literally kill him before it's over.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
it's gonna be bad.
He's got to be the machine all the time.
I'm so glad that, and maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but I feel like in the past 3 to 4 months, I've done a pretty good job of undoing only being the Cho, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'd say.
Well, you're not being sarcastic?
No, are you kidding me? I don't know. In the past few months, the things that have like made all the difference for you, the things that have really popped or whatever, are like not at all showy.
Yeah, being smart, saying the right thing.
Well, God damn it. Am I wrong about it? I mean, let's be fair here.
I can't wait till you hate that.
No, I already do. But I'm saying, like, I just can't I be fat? Can't I fart? Yeah, no, I know. Look, you live long enough to see yourself become the enemy. I get it. There's no river so long it doesn't contain a bend. We all know that. But I'm saying, like, it does make me happy though, thinking about Bert and thinking about like how many times, like in wrestling, there's this term when you're coming up with a finishing move. Well, I don't know, it's not a term, but they always say they're like, make sure that whatever your finishing move is, you need to be able to do it on everybody, on every wrestler. So if you pick a finishing move that is like pressing somebody over your head, well, guess what? You're wrestling Yokozuna this week, so you're not going to be able to give the crowd that. So I've always thought about that in comedy, and like if your whole thing is something that at 50 years old you're not going to be able to do, then you're going to have to like figure it all out then. Like, holy shit, if your whole thing's being a fucking party boy, like you're gonna age a lot. And so it's been nice in the past 4 months to be like, oh, you don't have to do that. You can just not drink and be fine.
Yeah,
but this whole conversation started because you were envious of Bert's fans, so it's gonna flip the other way.
But drinking has nothing to do with that.
We need to, if we're going to use this, we need to do some context because we didn't have the first of this. So okay, all right. So Corey got he said something that wasn't at all offensive that had something a little bit to do with the professional baseball organization, the Atlanta Braves. It was not a story about the Braves. It was not a commentary on the Braves. The Braves were a very ancillary part of a totally other thing he was talking about. This infuriated at least one person because Corey didn't go out of his way to denounce the Braves for all their racistry, their racism towards the Native Americans, the tomahawk chop and all that stuff. But the Braves didn't really have hardly anything to do with what he was doing in the
not
first
a goddamn
place.
Thing.
This person got very upset. So we were talking before we turned the mics on about like that, how that's frustrating, and it is. But then then it was like, well, what about? We brought up like Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer, who can like would never have to worry about that. But then it became a matter of, okay, but what are the expectations their fans have for them? And if you know Bert Kreischer he's the machine, and a lot of his fans he's got to be the machine all the time. He's got to be, he's got to be fucking hammered and having a great time and partying and, he's got to be on always. And that brings its own challenges, gentlemen. And that's what we were talking about.
It does. And also for the record, may I state, I'm not mad at this person, and I'm upset that they're upset, if that makes sense. Like, I think it may have been a Native American, and therefore I'm never going to tell a person who's offended as a white man what they can or can't be offended about. I do think that they somehow read way too much into it, but like I'm not in any way trying to sit here and go like everyone's such a pussy, because like, it's so easy for me to say that when like I'm Teflon. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But they absolutely fucking overreacted, like without a doubt.
And then we were talking about, and we haven't talked about this part of it on here, I don't think. We've talked about you going viral and all that stuff, but I don't think this particular element of it was part of that conversation, and I think it's interesting.
Oh, good. I'm about to get made fun of, ladies and gentlemen.
You started by saying you feel like in the past few months you've done a good job of like diversifying what you do comedically.
And please tell me how I'm wrong.
Your brand.
No, I said I couldn't agree more. I said objectively speaking, I think that's extremely true because for any of our newer listeners, if people don't know, Corey is the Cho. He's long been the Cho, and Cho stands for Chief Hitting Officer. And Corey's thing is, he hits. And he's like, the Cho farts, the Cho takes his shirt off, the Cho does do all these things.
He does. You do too.
Cho gets drunk and eats cheese and all this stuff. Like, that's the Cho.
What are you describing if not you? Also,
yeah, I've never farted.
Yeah, but you do it, but you
but with me, it's a lifestyle. I get it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's a persona. That's what the Cho is.
Yeah.
And
it's not a bad thing.
No, of course not. And then the success you had a few months ago, and still do, but that started a few months ago with the Buttercream Dream.
Well, that's what's so funny.
I feel like
with a shirtless wrestler screaming in his yard. It's like, he ain't the Show no more.
No. That's not what I was going to say. I think the Buttercream Dream, there's still a lot of Cho.
That was almost a year ago, though, by the way. When I said a few months ago, I meant like November.
I know what you meant.
Yeah.
I'm saying, when you had the Buttercream Dream, you were being very political and opinionated and that type of thing, but still, you have your shirt off with a wrestling. It's still very Cho. That's
for sure. It was a good transition character.
That's a Cho thing, bridge, right?
Yeah.
But then the rant you went crazy viral with earlier at the very beginning of this year, and this is what I was saying. Not at all Cho. There's nothing like Cho about that.
Yeah. So, they didn't really hit, except in numbers. They weren't funny or worth the fuck.
Right. Well, you didn't mean them to really be.
Of course I didn't, which is not Cho.
Which is not Cho, exactly. Yeah. So, hey, you're saying you're the reason we're talking about this because you said you're pleased, that you've sort of diversified your comedy stylings or whatever, however the hell you want to put it. But is that it? Is that the end of it? Like, can you expand on that? Like, do you feel? Because, like, I think you said before the mics came on, you're like, well, I can't even fart anymore. Because, now you're a serious artist with, like,
fart.
You know what I mean? Like, you're a taste maker of sorts.
Everything I do should be in black and white. Yeah. I know. I get no. I guess what I meant was like it. I just meant like as many times as I've jokingly pretended to be like the Jack Black character on Tropic Thunder, like they only care about my farts. Mm-hmm. Most of the time that was just like tongue-in-cheek kidding. However, like you can't help but feel certain ways about yourself in the entertainment world. And like, yeah, I'm not going to lie, there has always been part of me that's like, hey man, the longer you keep up with how it is that you are, the more that is what you are and that's what you're expected to be. And like, even though you see certain people reinvent themselves, it's like, it's very rare. Like usually whatever box you're in as a performer, celebrity, whatever, we as a society really, really, really like to keep you there. And like, and I'm speaking for myself too. Like, even though we are probably better about it than most civilians, because we're at least in the entertainment industry and we can kind of like internalize that and therefore try not to project it out onto the other artists. We do it. I do it. Like when I see somebody doing a thing that's not the thing that I like that they did, I'm like, well, I mean, this is fine, but I wish they'd do that other thing, And so proving to myself that I could be taken serious was really cool. And now I'm kind of in this divide of like, it's kind of neat because the people that discovered me for being really, really serious, then when they see me fart, they'll be like, oh, he also farts. And then the people who saw me, and the people who saw me when I farted will be like, and he can also think. You know what I'm saying?
The second part's
true.
I think the people that love to see you fart and then you think, I think most of them are like,
that's for them.
Look at the Cho. Good for the Cho.
But the other ones, not so much.
The other people, I wonder. When they see you fart, if they're not like, well, now
I didn't want him to fart.
Didn't come here for farts.
I would argue that a big part of their fandom is that they take themselves to be of the ilk that does not enjoy someone who farts.
Right. And I can tell you from experience of just like, and I've gotten better about this in the past several weeks. I took a week off social media and then I put a timer on my phone and I've been trying to retrain my relationship with apps and stuff like that for mental health reasons. But I will say, like, I shot up to like 190,000 followers, like real quick. And then it stayed there. I would gain 100, lose 5, what I'm looking at. This sucks, whatever. But who gives a shit? That's going to happen. And then I don't remember what the first thing I posted after all that was that didn't have nothing to do with all that. Maybe it was a Poldark thing or something. But like I lost like 800 followers, like, because I just posted and it wasn't even like a offensive post or nothing like that. It was just I posted something that these people probably didn't figure I would post. You know,
but that's good.
It is good. No, it is good. I went into it going like, look, they weren't gonna buy the album. Those 800 people weren't gonna buy the album. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay. Is like if I post something extremely shitty, you know, like, fuck people's feelings, go Braves, you know, or whatever. Like, then if I lose people, that sucks. But if I just put, like, if I have a thing go viral politically, and then the next day I'm like, shit, boy, them frog legs was good, and like 800 people leave, I'm like, well, fuck them. If they don't want to hear about the frog legs, I don't want to fucking talk to them about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. They don't deserve frog legs. They think their own farts don't stink.
That's true.
Yeah. No. Yeah, we've talked about before. Like I did, for anybody that's forgotten or never knew, and you probably still don't care, I did a recap series of the last season of Game of Thrones.
Oh, you should care. If you're a Game of Thrones fans and you didn't watch it, I rewatched it the other day and it's so fucking funny.
I mean, honestly, I know how silly this sounds. I think that series is like maybe the funniest stuff I've ever done.
It's
like,
your best work.
Like just in terms of like jokes and stuff, I was on fire.
You were. So you were on fire. You were on fire.
Goddamn, GOT, damn. But what I'm saying is, so obviously I'm pretty proud of that series. I was proud of it at the time. I thought I was doing a good job with it. I still, looking back on it, think I did a good job with it. It was very, very well received by the people that watched it. And yes,
I ripped it off just to do Poldark. That's how good it was.
A handful of times it did happen because we were still touring at the time. We would meet a couple people at the shows who would tell me, they're like, I didn't even know about the political part. I found out about you because of the Game of Thrones videos, but that happened like literally 5 to 10 times total.
Well, that they told you don't know how many people didn't say it.
I know, but what I'm trying to get at is all that stuff is very positive about that series. And I felt good about it and I still do. However, at the end of the day, and keep in mind, Game of Thrones is as big of a cultural phenomenon as has existed in this country, in pop culture, in a generation. At the end of the day, those videos, just in terms of like views and everything, can't hold a candle to like my liberal redneck videos.
Yeah,
that
my shit will never either.
Better liberal redneck videos or whatnot just blow those out of the water consistently. And so I'm saying I really enjoyed doing a completely different thing. And I think I did a good job of doing a different thing. And people who watched it did like it, but a whole lot of people still just didn't fuck with that, you know? And I think it's because it's like, oh, I don't, you know, fuck
well, I don't even think it's that. I think it's just like people aren't as quick to click share on something that isn't a fucking hot take opinion.
Yeah, emotional, based on emotions and
stuff. Like the same amount of people might like your thing, it's just they'll never see it because it didn't strike a nerve with someone who went and posted it on some daily cause page on fucking Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You also have more competition, in my opinion, with the Game of Thrones thing than you did as the liberal. I realized everyone was doing politics, but you had a truly fresh, for the internet take.
Thank you for that, by the way.
And apparently
you seem like you were done, in my opinion.
It seems like 3 years later,
about it.
It's still fresh.
Absolutely.
But, you were competing
5 years later, still fresh to a lot of people.
But the Game of Thrones thing, you know, isn't that how the long-haired one on the new Queer Eye got started?
I hear for him.
Yeah. It was. So
you had like a lot of competition.
Yeah, and that was more established. I only did the last season. I'm not trying to like lament that it didn't do better. I'm saying like I felt and still do feel really good about it.
Yeah.
But like speaking objectively, it's not on the same level in terms of popularity or whatever you want to call it as the liberal redneck videos are. So, you know, we're just talking about trying to do other stuff.
Dude,
it's hard to do other stuff.
Even not in the other stuff aspect, like it you know, obviously you're always happy if you can go viral, if for nothing other than just to bump your followers up, because that's going to help you sell tickets down the road. But like, it's a bummer to me that the 2 videos I did that got without question the most traction I didn't write them. You know what I mean? Whereas like I'd done some other, even in the same avenue, they were political buttercream videos with this that I wrote that were so goddamn funny. And again, they did good. I'm not lamenting either. But it's like, it just hurts that like the thing that really hits was just me being upset.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But also, and I'm not trying to tell you to start doing this. You've already said before on the podcast, you're not going to do this. And I don't blame you. I respect you for that. But like, I used to always have these conversations about, because as we've also said, when we were talking about your videos, a lot of people thought I was doing what you did, meaning a lot of people early on thought I was just like just saying some shit. But I didn't. I wrote those, and I've been
upfront. That's why they were funny
from the beginning. I wrote, right. That's why they had jokes and shit throughout, because I actually wrote them.
Yeah.
But because that was the perception, there was this thing like keeping up with making content while we were on tour and stuff like that. And I would get told, like, something happened. Why don't you go live and talk about it? And the whole time I was like, I got
the jokes.
That won't hit you don't understand. Like, that's not what I do. And I'm not talking about fans saying this. I'm talking about our people telling me to do this. And I'd be like, that ain't what I do.
Right.
And there are a lot of like influencer types, or whatever you want to call them, who you could tell that is what they do, but they can do that. And by that, I mean, turn their phone. What's up, guys? Just checking in. And then they can like hit for a minute and people enjoy it.
Yeah.
That ain't me. I can be like, I got a plan to hit. You know what I mean?
Right.
My point is, I feel like you've proven that if you want to, like, I mean, you can do that. I get what you're saying about like,
I can
upsetting because you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into writing things that people don't care as much about. But still, like, I can't do that thing that you did. I don't have that gear that I can shift into the way that you can.
Yeah, there's no reason to be mad that they like it when you just hit.
Yeah, no, I mean, and there's something to it to where I'm like, well, that actually is like the Buttercream Dream and Funny Corey. Like, don't get me wrong, that's who you are too. But like that guy, I mean, that was you mad, but that is who you are. So like, they like you. That's cool. So I mean, again, like, I'm never gonna be like, oh, this sucks that this video got 3 million views. I just wish they'd like the stuff that hit for me.
You've used words like smart and talking about farting and all that, but I don't think that had anything to do with, if there was anyone surprised or whatever, I don't think that was where it came from. I think people who read the book weren't surprised at all. And I think people who are just like a little bit pulled back and who might've been surprised, the word that got said to me twice by two different comedians, where I didn't know Corey was that sincere of a person. Like like when they're around you, you're joking so much. Now, again, people who read the book, they knew how sincere you could be writing about your granny and all that. And I think that's the secret of the Cho anti-Cho thing, is figuring out how to keep hitting while being sincere.
Right. Yeah, I guess you're right. Because I've had that before. People like say like, I'm not saying I didn't think that you weren't like a racist or nothing, but I just figure that this was just a put on or whatever. And I'm like, why would I just alienate myself from everyone I went to high school with for the fuck of it and struggle for 12 years until Trey made a video? You're right. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I can get it. Cause like I don't know if it's a problem or a good thing where like you might not ever know where I'm coming from, cause I'm always bullshitting on something. Defense mechanism. Cause I didn't go to college and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about,
Well, it's the jokes.
Yeah.
It's that you're always, making jokes.
Right. Yeah. I speak in jokes.
And I know the people you're talking about aren't listening to our podcast, and we ain't listening to theirs either. We're talking about other comics here. And I don't know who you're talking about. But like, Corey has on this show, I don't even know how many times since we've been doing this show, he's gotten on one about a particular like political subject.
Everybody thinks it's you.
Yeah, right.
That's when they think I'm you.
Yeah, they tune out for a minute and they come back and like, oh, this is smart and insightful. Trey's really doing something right now. And then you get done. Yeah, that hits. Whatever.
Then you fart and they're like, Corey's back.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But yeah, no, Corey has done it a lot. It's just, in the backwater boondocks of podcasting that is this show. So people didn't know about it. But Corey had a tendency to do that and always has. That meaning go off on a very sincere rant about something that upsets him.
Yeah. Also, like I my stand-up for the most part, I mean, like not all of it, but definitely, I mean, everything on our album, like it was a super fucking politically and societally social issue charged half hour. And I don't mean that like how that would be the blurb in on a fucking a blog or something like that. But I'm just saying, like, it was very political, but like, I guess the way that I say it, I've had people be like, I like I like you because you're coming from the same place ideally, but you don't really talk that much politically. And I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? I did a 15-minute bit on a bill. What the fuck are you? And they're like, oh yeah, I guess you did. We just heard pudding and started laughing, and then you took your shirt off and farted, and then you left. And so
yeah, they do that too. And it's funny when they confuse people on the podcast, but it's hilarious when they confuse us
just saw
right
us
after having seen us.
Yeah.
I really
all the time.
My favorite joke of yours was blah, and I'd be like, that was Corey's. The show was 35 minutes ago.
But by the way, then they'll double down and go, I don't think so.
No. Yeah, you said that, but I'm talking about, that's Corey's joke.
Nah, agree to disagree. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think so. It was about like being mad about politics. I don't think it was his.
It couldn't have been. He was too busy farting and lighting his chest on fire.
Farted, right.
He's stupid. Trey asked him to fart, and he did.
He had that great joke about pulling out. Well, that was my joke. No, you would never.
Now, it seems like a him thing, what with him being naked and dumb and stinky, and look at him.
I think we probably told this on the show before, but our buddy back in Knoxville, old Rick, once almost got his ass whipped by an entire minor league hockey team because of a joke I told at a bar show in Knoxville in like 2011. I forgot this story.
Tell the whole thing again.
I don't, and I no bullshitting. I don't remember the exact joke or bit. It's been so long, but I said I made like a school shooter joke in the middle of it, right? Trust me, y'all, it worked. All right, it was fine.
I've done one.
Y'all know I was on the right side of it. Okay, I wasn't like but I somehow invoked school shootings or something. I used to have this bit where I was talking about how white people are racist, but they're shittier at all the things they're racist towards black people for.
Yeah.
Meaning like, they think racist white people think black people steal. Well, white people steal too. It's just, they
your
steal
Social Security.
They steal your Mima's, Social Security or whatever, which is shittier. That was the crux of it. And there was something in there about like gun violence in black communities or whatever. And I was like, what's our gun violence? White people. Oh yeah, not a bit. White people just shoot up schools or something like that.
Yeah.
It was an actual joke, and it always worked pretty well, but it was pretty provocative or whatever. And I did it at a bar show in Knoxville, Tennessee, on like a Wednesday night, like a happy hour bar show in Knoxville. And there's a minor league hockey team in Knoxville called the Knoxville Ice Bears, and they had a game that day and were like all out together at the bar. And you never believe this, we weren't hitting for them particularly.
Really? You and Rick, really?
Drew was there too.
On that show too.
Drew was there too.
And I roasted him.
It wasn't just the three of us. It wasn't just the three of us. It was like a little Knox comedy thing that Jeff Blank was probably there. I don't know, 4 or 5 of us. But I did my little bullshit, including that joke. And then I actually wasn't there for this, which is doubly hilarious to me because I wasn't even present. But the hockey players came up to Rick and were like, "Hey, motherfucker, you shouldn't be joking about shooting kids or school shootings or whatever." And Rick's like, "What are you talking about?" And you don't. And they were like getting in his face and we're about to whoop his ass. And I was like,
Rick was just so happy somebody was talking about his jokes. He didn't even give a fuck that they weren't his.
Well, I mean, y'all know Rick. Rick's a lot of things, but a withering flower and physical altercations is not one of them.
That's true. He bounced for years. He bounced even after he retired. He kept bouncing for love of the game.
But I mean, he wasn't like standing down or whatever. But he was very much like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I didn't do any jokes." And I'm sitting there talking to my my new sister-in-law who's like 20. So I'm dealing with this weird family thing. And I don't know if you remember, Trey, but like I spent 5 minutes just roasting them, talking about how like they're not even in the worst professional league in America. They're amateurs, just shitting on them. And this dude is trying to fight Rick. It was really one guy, to be fair. So the other ones were there. This dude's trying to fight Rick over Trey's joke. Didn't get mad at me. Didn't get mad at Trey. So only mad at Waylon Whiskey.
Trey, I almost got my ass whooped because of one of your jokes one time too.
Really?
By a woman.
By a woman. You remember this? You'll have to. I want you to tell the joke after this. But I'm outside smoking a cigarette. We double headlined or co-headlined or whatever the fuck that bullshit is. And I'd gone first, I reckon, just because of how this story's working out. And I'm outside smoking a cigarette, and by God, it fucking a large Marge type doesn't walk out just fucking putting her jacket on while cussing and kicking the door open, just going, I swear to God, fuck that motherfucker. I tell you what, da da da. And I was just like, hey, you know, I'm fucking so curious. I'm like, hey, what's wrong? She said, we're fucking leaving. What? And I was like, why? What happened? She goes, look, I don't know about you, but where I come from, you just don't fucking talk about Dale Earnhardt like that. And I was just like, I remember, I didn't even know what you'd said, but I knew what you hadn't said, which was anything derogatory about Dale Earnhardt. And I was just like, ma'am, he would never. Right. And she couldn't tell me what it was you'd say. Like, she was not getting it across to me. And then I asked you afterwards, and I was like, what was the joke?
It was, of course, yeah, it's funny. When you told me that she said that to you, literally the first thing I said, she's not even present anymore, but you told me the story. The first thing I said to you was, okay, well, first of all, I would never shit on Dale Earnhardt. So, but I did invoke his name.
We decided that you just brought him up and it had been too soon.
About plates. It was something about decorative plates.
Oh, yeah.
That had Dale
matching Earnhardt.
That had Dale Earnhardt on them. But
yeah.
it was
y'all got matching plates. It was learning.
Yeah, it was about going to my college girlfriend's house and all their plates matched. And I was like, what is this about? And then I started, and I brought up the plates we had in my house and how the fancy ones had Dale Earnhardt on them or something.
I'm pretty sure the line, I don't want to fuck up your joke, but I'm pretty sure the line is matching plates and ain't none of them got Peyton Manning or Dale Earnhardt on them. God damn.
Yeah, it was.
That's definitely what it became.
Yeah, it was. I would interchange. I think I might have switched to Peyton Manning after the Dale Earnhardt fiasco.
After Earnhardt Gate.
Earnhardt Gate. Yeah, but
I do think that she probably had a little bit of that reaction in her where some people, man, if you in the South, you just bring up Jesus. It don't matter what you're saying.
Right. It was that kind of thing. Yeah.
Unless you're like, I was at church.
It was exactly the type of thing where someone brought up Jesus.
Oh, that happens. That happened all the time. Nobody. Yeah. No one ever wanted to fight me over a Jesus joke that I recall. I guess even those dumb idiots who came to a comedy show and get mad about jokes. It's stupid to fight over Jesus.
I currently do a joke wherein Jesus gets gangbanged.
Mm-hmm.
It's done pretty well. I haven't done it down at the VFW yet.
Man, you had been closing with it, and it was my favorite to come up on that stage right after that because it's just like. Because especially in the South, it's like our fans loved it, but they had that thing where they're like,
they weren't going to leave.
Like, is my pastor here?
Yeah, right. They weren't going to leave, but just for a second, they had to remember if they liked me or not.
And where they were. Like that whole, like, you remember when we did that Satan preacher sketch?
Oh, yeah.
I got messages from like really, really degenerate comedians who were like, this is great, but I can't share it. So I think their reaction to your butt fuck Jesus joke is like, this is great, but I can't laugh because I've trained myself not to laugh at stuff like this at my office or whatever.
Yeah, which is probably why it's one of the jokes I'm the most proud of.
Sure, because I mean, laughter is not controllable.
Exactly. Like I know if you're laughing at this joke, you tried real goddamn hard first not to. So that's really neat,
especially in the South.
Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah, especially in the South. But like you said, most of our fans are fucking godless. But you still have those hang-ups. Me and you've talked about this a million times. I stopped believing like in the church at like fucking 9 years old, but I was still every now and then when I was 19 praying. Like, you know what I mean? Like I would do something and it was just an instinct. And the whole time I'd be like, no, this ain't, you know what? Just in case, Lord God, and it took me a while to get over that. And again, I hadn't believed in fucking years. Like it's a fucking trauma, dude. Like for real, a trauma.
Yeah, man.
You know what else is a fucking trauma?
Double those ages, and that's me. 18, and I hope when I'm 40, I'll get over it.
Something else that took me a while to quit was nicotine. But with Lucy Nicotine, they're a company that was founded by Caltech scientists and former smokers looking for a better and cleaner nicotine alternative. Finally, a tobacco alternative that don't suck. It was researched and developed for 3 years to be made for people, not patients. Lucy has created a nicotine gum with 4 milligrams of nicotine that comes in 3 flavors: wintergreen, cinnamon, and as you know, I'm privy to, the pomegranate. Lucy also has a lozenge with 4 milligrams of nicotine in cherry ice flavor, my favorite Gatorade as a child. Each and every flavor actually tastes great. It's convenient, discreet. You can do it on the plane, on the train, on the bus, in front of your mama. She won't know. Products can be enjoyed anywhere, you know. So I go back and forth on whether I think Lucy's going to like this or not, but because of Lucy, I don't even use Lucy anymore. Been off cigarettes for 2.5 years, off vaping since August, no snooze, nothing. Lucy helped your boy quit. Don't they hit?
They do hit, and if you're like me and you're not a quitter, Lucy hits for that too. It's 2020, 2021, excuse me.
Oh my God.
Here it is.
You're right.
2021. Get rid of your cigarettes, your vape, all that stuff, and pick up Lucy nicotine gum or lozenges. It is, in fact, the real deal. Also, you get a subscription to Lucy. It comes directly to your door each month, so you don't have to go anywhere or do anything because none of that shit hits.
Don't hit.
Lucy has delivery down. So, WellRED listeners, go to lucy.co and use the promo code RED, R-E-D, and you'll get 20% off all products, including gum or lozenges. That's lucy.co. And use the promo code RED at checkout. We are legally required to give this disclaimer. Warning, this product contains nicotine derived from tobacco. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
And it hits.
Which hits. Yeah. Lucy.co and use the promo code RED. We thank them for sponsoring the podcast. Yes, we were talking about trauma there, and I want to get back into y'all's trauma at least a little bit.
Of course.
Jesus trauma. But, you know, a lot of trauma going around, a lot of people right now. It's been a traumatic time in this world. And, you know, we're all feeling it. It's more important than ever now to take care of yourself mentally. It's February now. So if you're coupled up, you know, it's March. I keep losing track of time.
I know, dude. It's nuts.
Became March. February just ended. If you're spending every waking moment with your partner, you know, or taking this quarantine time to work on yourself before jumping into a relationship, you should seek out a therapist to help you set and accomplish your goals so you can emerge from quarantine stronger than ever. I wholeheartedly recommend Talkspace for therapy. You can sign up online and start therapy the same day as you sign up. And depending on the plan you choose, you can text, video, or send voice messages to your licensed therapist. So it's incredibly convenient to have virtual sessions from the comfort of your home. Drew.
Talkspace lets you send and receive messages unlimited with your dedicated therapist. And the Talkspace platform is open 24/7. So with Talkspace, you set your goals with your therapist. They hold you accountable and make sure you're progressing. And the therapy can really help you shift your perspective. I know therapy's helped me shift my perspective. It helps me find tools to cope in difficult times. And, it's a guiding light. It's affordable. It costs a fraction of the cost of in-person therapy. And instead of waiting for an appointment, you can just send the messages to your therapist any time of day, and they're going to engage you 5 days a week. They got a big network, thousands of therapists. So, it's time, guys. As a listener of this podcast, if you're ready to jump in and work on yourself, you can get $100 off on your first month with Talkspace right now. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com or download the app and use the code WellRED. You'll get $100 off your first month, and you'll show your support for the show. That's WellRED and Talkspace.com.
Get your brain fixed, folks, at Talkspace.com, promo code WellRED. And hey, we've been talking about comedy and doing stuff and shows, and another different thing that we've been doing recently is hanging out over on the Stereo app and doing a little show Fridays at 3 Eastern. Stereo app. It's got thousands of live social conversations with a wide range of genres for every interest, including news, comedy, which ostensibly is what we do.
I really, truly want y'all to download the app. It's free. I've had a good time. What we do is only 2 of us can be on there at once because of the limits of the technology, but it's kind of a bummer because if me and Corey are on there talking about how much he hits, y'all can call in and talk about how much he don't hit and leave a voicemail, and we'll play it on the air. And I think I've figured out how to do that a better job, coming in and out with them and bringing people on and stuff like that. People are having a lot of fun leaving us voice messages. We'll be there this Friday at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. It'll be me and Trey because we rotate who does them. And we will talk for about 15, 20 minutes, and then we will play your voicemails. So if you want to leave us a voicemail and have it played out into the ether, you do, download that Stereo app and then search our names. Drew Morgan. I thought I was going to do my other social media. Trey Crowder and Corey R. Forrester. Is that
That's
right?
it.
And I'll have posted the link to the show. By the time you hear this, I already have it up. It'll say WellRED 3 or 4 or whatever number we're on, and you'll be able to put it in your calendar, and you'll be able to hear me and Trey talk.
Yeah.
They are fun. I've been having a blast with them, and so far we've ran into no problems on the leaving a voicemail part. We do keep testing it by saying things as such, but I thought it's been really great. It's kind of ruined me for any other podcasting experience because I really like that break up the monotony. Hey, let's play what this person said about how much I don't hit.
Yeah, and it's spontaneous and stuff too. Keeps you on your toes. Does hit. So yeah, get the Stereo app and look us up and join.
We had 62 listeners this last Friday. I want to break that record. Let's guys download the app. There's way more of you out there, and also it hits.
It does hit.
And we thank them for sponsoring the podcast.
Absolutely.
All right, so yeah, y'all's trauma, y'all's Jesus trauma or whatever. You know, I've talked about this a lot. We've talked about it a lot. I'm a really weird and unusual case when it comes to the Lord in that, like, I'm not at all a believer, but I'm not even a little bit, zealous about it. And I've chalked that up to like, I grew up pretty much just religious. I barely went to church. You weren't in it.
You don't know how much you hate it.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, so I have been celebrated by the godless community, as you all know. I've been awarded honors and
by the way, he's done. I'm in now. Holler at me. I'll come do your shit.
Yeah, please celebrate Joe for a little while. But anyway, they're always shocked to find this about me, that like I don't really care all that much about the Lord one way or another. And I really don't. I'm not that, because most people that are godless are very passionate about it. And I've come to realize it's,
I don't know. I'd say most people that are godless are like you.
Okay. Well, all right. The ones who are vocally godless.
Yeah.
Then.
Just like anything.
Yeah.
Just like most Southerners aren't Trump supporters per se, but the goddamn loudest ones are.
You're right. That's true. But I chalk that up to the lack of trauma.
Right. Yeah.
Like
for sure.
all the people I meet, all the atheists I meet and talk to that are very
went to church,
vocal and shit, every single one of them grew up in the church and was like traumatized by it in some way or another. And I think you were weird if that wasn't the case.
So they expect me to share that with them. And it's not that I don't necessarily, but like I used to have a bit about it. You know, they would like bring me their pamphlets and stuff because I was doing jokes about the trauma that the church caused me. And my thing with that is like, dude, the whole thing is let it go.
Yeah.
Like being so anti the thing that ruined you.
What's the difference?
Still letting it lead your life.
Exactly.
Like hang out with them in a basement with all carpeted gym floor, or hang out with you at the DoubleTree so we can listen to Christopher Hitchens stuff. Either way, y'all are fat and ugly and I want to hang out with y'all.
Like y'all talk about God just as much as the God people, but at least the God people have banana pudding. So like either change your buffet situation or shut the fuck up.
Also, like, just go to a concert.
Yeah, like, that's the thing.
I don't believe in God anymore. Cool. Go fucking worship Steely Dan or something interesting.
Right. They act like it's fucking AA or something. Like when you're like, if you don't want to drink booze anymore, like I get that, but like you got to go, you still have to talk about booze or whatever. But with God, I don't like accidentally wake up sometimes and I'm just in a praise service like, oh God, how'd I get here? You know what I mean? Like I'm fucking very happy. You know, I'm fucking 20 years completely clean and sober on the blood of the Lamb, and I ain't fucking going back.
That'd be a good sketch.
It would.
Another thing that I think is wild to a lot of the more like hardcore atheist types or whatever that I do is like, even though I never grew up in the church, I still grew up in like the Bible Belt deep, and I'll still say things like, you know, praise the Lord or whatever.
Yeah,
like that
ironically.
Sometimes and some, you know, I've took to oftentimes saying the fake Lord, but not always. Sometimes I'll say, oh, I was praying, or, oh, thank you, Jesus, you know, and like, but I don't mean any of it. And it's kind of funny to me to say it.
It's just what you say when somebody scores a fucking touchdown.
Yeah, right.
It's also our culture, guys. And like, there's parts of that culture that has hurt people. It's also produced fucking rock and roll.
Absolutely.
You don't have it without the church.
Yeah, you can also believe in God without the church too, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't know if I've told y'all before, but that's what I said I was for a long time as a kid. I mean, like growing up in Salina, I wasn't talking about not believing in God and shit when I was younger. but I never went to church, and I didn't like the church. So I would talk shit about the church and make fun of the church or make fun of the Bible or Jesus or whatever. But if you asked me then if I believed in God, I'd be like, yeah, I believe in God. I just, not this version of him or whatever.
Well, I mean, that's
me. Not true for me any longer, but that's what I was initially. And I don't know if
I feel.
I remember reading about Pascal's wager, when I was a teenager.
Of course.
Do I do Mandalorian
right, exactly.
or do I do,
Right, and the whole thing of like, why not believe in God? Because if you're
just
wrong,
in case.
Yeah, just in case. Exactly.
That's not how belief works.
Yeah, and right, exactly. But as a teenager, never fucked with church and didn't like church and that type of thing. When I read that, I was like, oh yeah, see, that makes sense to me. So I'll just, sure, there's a God, we're cool, but fuck all that church stuff. But then I realized later, like what even is that?
Well,
like,
I think I'm that way like now, but instead of it being like, well, I know I believe in God, just not the God that y'all say. I was always like, I still think there's probably something that did all this, but like, there's no fucking way any of y'all got it right. And also, he don't fucking hate polyester windbreakers and fucking shrimp. Like, that's so dumb.
Right.
But I believe like, I'm one of them, I kind of like truly wholeheartedly believe that like in the, was it the egg mess? Like we are God. God just, it's vibrations, it's string theory. Like that just is us. I believe that kind of like we all, like I die, then I become a tree, and not necessarily reincarnation, but just like God is energy. The energy we have is what the only way that our human brains can conceptualize what a God is. That's what it is. But like nowhere in that belief of mine is there any room for me to go, and if you don't think that, you're going to burn in hell forever.
Right.
So that's the big difference to me. I don't really rightly give a fuck if you don't believe me, because like, to me, if what I believe is true, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
I was reading a Reddit thread somehow or another. Y'all know how it goes about the Amish, and it was a bunch of people in Pennsylvania talking about because
they're full of shit.
Amish are huge in Pennsylvania.
I'm kidding.
And it was all these regular Pennsylvania people talking about the Amish, and a lot of them kept making the same point of like, what I appreciate about the Amish is that they don't try to force their shit onto everybody else, which I guess is true. But it's funny to me to think about like, do you think they tried for a while and just every single person was like, what? No.
Also,
definitely not that. Could you repeat that again?
Also, have you ever been stuck behind a wagon?
Do what?
Have you ever been stuck behind a wagon like in Amish country?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's kind of forcing it on me.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
You're right. I know. So that's what I'm saying. Like people,
those fucking haircuts.
It was like, how people get on the internet.
What is up with that? Have a mustache or don't.
Right. How people get on the internet sometimes about like, I don't know, going out of their way to be overly diplomatic or something. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like everybody was
like Amish is a race.
Right. It's
like they were being racist.
Like people like having to find something.
They ain't.
Right, exactly. They're not reading it. It doesn't matter. But like them having to find something nice to say about the Amish, and multiple people kept landing on like, they don't shove it in your face or whatever. And it was just kind of funny to me because, like you said, it's like, I mean, they kind of do.
but also, how could they?
Exactly. Right. Like what?
They could be on their farm talking shit right now for all I know. It's not like they got a podcast. You know what I mean? They got 2 tin cans on the fucking Apple network that I can hear their bullshit. I don't think so. Trust me, they got some fucked up thoughts that they would love you to believe in. I promise you. It's just that you have to go to their goddamn house and hear it.
I think it's fair. What you're saying is true. Like they don't even have the means, but it is fair to like give a religion credit for that, because that is when 90% of the problems start.
Of course.
The other direction, the only thing
I'm just halfway kidding, by the way.
Well, when they're off to themselves, the only thing you have to worry about then, the other 10% that's caused by not by proselytizing is like, okay, what are they doing to their kids, especially their young girls
and the women,
and how many guns they got? Like what's happening with that? Are they waiting to throw it on us? Are they keeping it to themselves for the next 10 years? And then the day comes that we've all been waiting for, Obadiah.
Right. Yeah. You know who else keeps to themselves? North Korea. Am I right?
Exactly.
Yeah. If Osama bin Laden had stayed his ass in his cave, we wouldn't have give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry to all the Amish listeners we have out there. I didn't mean to.
And the North Koreans.
The North Korean regime and the North Korean listeners. Yes, I apologize to both.
Yeah.
I want to apologize personally to Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
Boag.
So, shit. What was I going to say? But Drew, isn't that like all the like big religions and subgenres of religion, whatever that's called, denominations. Anyway, that word. The other one.
I like genre better.
Subgenres of God. Yeah. They almost all share that proselytizing thing, right? Because like they have to, right?
Well,
like if they didn't have that, they wouldn't be as popular.
They wouldn't be. You wouldn't know the difference.
There's two things happening here. The ones who don't do it died out because of what you're talking about for the most part. Jews have historically been an exception to that because lately they've been recruiting, but for the most part, it was like you got to be born into it or whatever. It's interesting. Here's how I know my trauma is doing good, though. I usually have so much to say about this topic. It's come up before, and I've probably had a tendency to dominate the conversation. Dude, I'm done. I'm done talking. I mean, to your question specifically, yeah, it's two things. One is it's like a rule in their religion. You got to proselytize. And then two, and I've said this before on here, it kind of makes sense. Like if you genuinely believe that my soul will burn in hell forever and you're my friend, like keep it to yourself, but I have some empathy for you that you don't want to keep it to yourself.
Well, that's the thing.
Actually are worried about me.
They genuinely believe that they are being some of them. They genuinely believe they're being a bad person if they don't tell you about it. And that's true. Like, it's sort of kind of like that. Like, it's the same logic of that Louis joke when he was talking about the people who abortion. And he's like, well, in their defense, to them, you're killing a baby. They think that, so they're going to treat you like they think you're killing a baby. So, like, dude, some of these little old sweet ladies, like, they genuinely believe that they are being the best person they can believe in doing me a favor by saying, young man, you need to quit hanging out with this crowd and go hang out with Jesus.
And I can tell you what my mom says about that. And I think that this is true, but not everybody believes this. But she genuinely believes that unless someone kind of comes to you first, that it's not going to work.
Right, because you got to want to help yourself.
And I think that's part of why my mom is known in the community as being such a good person. I think she tries really hard to seem like she has something other people would be curious about. And I know this, I've seen her do it. I've seen women like ask her, like, how do you do it? And you're so sweet. And then that's when she's like, and here is the opportunity to proselytize. It is because of my relationship with the Lord. And for the record, that's true. Whether God's real or not, that sentence is true. My mother's relationship with the Lord, whether the Lord is real or not, is in fact why she is that way.
Right.
So she is telling those people the truth.
We were supposed to talk about Jerry Clower. So,
I was about to say, did I watch a shit ton of Jerry Clower for nothing?
Yeah, right. Tangentially related to here. Yes, exactly. Because Jerry Clower, for those of y'all listening don't know, Southern comic, did the Southern circuit. They're legendary on the Southern circuit for 5 decades or whatever, up until the 90s when he died. And he was from Liberty, Mississippi, and was very clean and Jesus-y and all that stuff, and was just hugely influential. Somehow we got to Drew brought up his mom loving Jerry. No, Corey. I remember how Jerry Clower got brought up. Corey.
I'll tell it.
Please do.
All right. So yesterday I was on one of my walks in the wood. God, I forgot. This is why I've been watching Jerry Clower for 2 days. This is so funny.
Yep.
I'm on one of my walks in the woods, and I was about to do one of my Sunday strolls. First off, thank you all for everybody who participates in those Sunday strolls. I have a lot of fun with them. It's a live stream I do on Twitter every, you guessed it, Sunday. So I did it at 12 this week, and about 11:55, I was like, oh, I better go get my selfie stick out and set everything up and make sure I got my mic on and blah, 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 blah. So I decided to go off the beaten path a little bit. I'm walking. I've got my headphones in. I'm not paying attention to nothing. I got my headphones in. I'm just, Brandy, you're a fine girl. You're a fine girl. Nothing. I got my head down and walking through the woods a little bit, and I look up, and just about as soon as I look up, all I see is just a fucking white streak. Not right in front of my eyes, but I'd say about, 25, 30 yards. By the time I process what's going on, it is just these folks, this couple had been porking in the woods.
Mm-hmm. Is porking an apt description, you reckon?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to, here's what, one of the songs from Dumb and Dumber came to mind when they're about to meet Seabass and they go into the diner. Do you remember what song comes on?
Oh my God, no.
It starts out, it goes, 2 foot of butt crack is all I could see. That's all. That's all I know.
Now, wait, were you on live?
No. I wasn't. And
that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
I should say no.
It would go viral, yeah. But here's the thing, though, and I will say this: I genuinely, when I am doing the live streams, and I have the camera facing forward, so I'm looking forward at everything, and I'm very cognizant all the time of when I do see people up ahead, and every time I do, I go off into the woods so they can pass me and not pick up on the camera, because I know there's a lot of people that would prefer not to be on camera, and that's rude of me. And also, one thing I've thought of, I'm going to get back to these people, is that some people, it's, where I'm from, the park is oftentimes where two people who ain't supposed to be together is together. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And aren't you specifically saying two wieners or two?
No. It wasn't two wieners.
Vaginers. I know you're not saying that's what you saw, but I'm saying.
No, I'm talking about cheating.
Okay.
I'm talking about cheating. No, now.
But that also, right? That's the thing. Like in park, you go to.
Yeah, you butt fuck. Both people butt fucking park.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Everybody knows that. Yeah.
Dude, Central Park ate up with butt fucking back in the day. Probably still is.
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, not there's anything wrong with it.
It definitely is.
Of course not.
It's known. Like if you're trying to smoke weed, do not go to a corner of the park thinking we're going to find some privacy over here. You will not find privacy. You will often find an orgy.
Yeah.
Sometimes a homeless one.
Yeah, which hits.
Yeah.
But so I thought, again, I'm having to process a lot at once. I see these two big old asses. These people were at varying degrees of pulling their britches up. One was about around the thigh, around the mid thigh, and the other one was below the knee, and they was fucking, I mean, for shimmying like they was going pretty fucking good. And then I processed all that. Huh?
Did anybody fall?
If they did, it was after I had turned around and I still had my headphones and shit on. I turned around because I didn't want us to make eye contact, because I wanted to give them plausible deniability that maybe this person didn't see us. Now, as I'm turning, I'm like, I start processing. I go, oh my God, this is two dudes. And not that there's anything wrong with that. And the only reason I thought it was two dudes is because it was one of them couples, y'all, that you know how it goes, where you've been married for a while and all of a sudden you both just look like the same thing.
The same person. Yes.
Like you've even got the same wolf shirt on.
And they were big.
Yeah. Dude, that is such a wild and funny thing that absolutely happens.
You just eat the exact same dinner and move the exact same not amount. You're going to look, you know what I mean?
Right.
And like, basically it's just that his titties looked like hers, not the other way around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but the only reason I realized
Fiona effect going on.
I went straight from, oh my God, it's two fat wieners in a butt to never mind, there's a ponytail and earrings. As I was like, I caught that right here as I was running, and then they start running off. I know too, I don't know how long they had seen me, and if they saw me for a while, they had to have seen that I had a selfie stick in my hand, and I think they think that they have been caught fucking each other in the woods.
Now, I don't know how it's possible. I don't know how this is possible, but I think that they surely have. I mean, unless they were butt ass naked when you got in the general vicinity.
Yeah, right.
This is just how long it took them to dress and run and scuttle away. But yeah, it very much the way you're describing it. I mean, it sounds like you caught them.
Yeah.
Meaning if they knew you were coming.
Yeah.
I must have just been there snorting too hard,
right.
Really
around.
Yeah.
So to bring this all back around,
I've done that myself plenty of times.
Hell, I'd never don't snort. So to bring this all back around,
Jerry Clower snorts.
You said you were one of, I said, you said, because I said I just seen two big fat white asses. and one of y'all said, were it two dudes? Because, I mean, I think that's an important question to ask in this story. And I said, no, it was a guy and a girl, ... both of whom looked like Jerry Clower.
Yeah. and that led to all of us watching Jerry Clower specials and reading Jerry Clower Wikipedia and stuff for the next, 36 hours or whatever.
This might have to be a two-parter.
I want to talk a lot about Jerry Clower, but I have to ask a few questions about this couple. Now, you just said...
I've pretty much given you all I know, just to let you know.
Okay, well, I have one question. You said they look the same, but Trey also pointed out that the scenario makes it seem like it might have been some shady shit. Either they have a woods kink, which does not explain them running away, honestly. Most people who fuck in the woods kind of want to get caught. Or somebody was cheating on somebody.
Well, okay, that's true. But I was about to say, like, if me and my wife, who it's totally fine if I have sex with, we're having sex in the woods and somebody just came up on us, I don't think either one of us would be like, keep going, we're married. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we'd get scared. In fact, this exact scenario has happened to me and her at several weddings in the field.
Yeah. Usually with drunk, a barn
nearby.
That's
hammered drunk and you're wedding drunk, and that's a little different. As someone who's had a lot of sex while hiking, I can tell you that it's not like you'd be like, yeah, you want to see that? You would definitely be like, well, they don't want to see it. But I think that's cheating. That's like way more common. How many times you had sex while hiking?
Me? Never.
I don't hike.
It's not that common.
I don't hike with my wife like a
also, how
lunatic.
I don't think they hike that much.
But they don't. They weigh 350 pounds.
Right. You're probably right. But I don't think that anything about the story indicates that. Like if they
by the way, they could be
big couple, it's New Year's resolution. All right. They're big couple, New Year's resolution. We got to lose some weight. We got to work on ourselves. They start hiking and shit like Corey's been doing, and they're doing it together. And they love each other very much. They get out there, they get overtook with passion for some
reason. It was
a
beautiful day.
Smelled the barbecue on the wind or whatever.
That was the reward. She promised him.
I'm allowed.
If we make it to that one tree, I'll give you a reward. This was her. That was she incentivized that.
Sometimes you just get, I mean, it gets more rare the older you are and the longer you're with somebody, but sometimes you just get swept up in it. So
I've wanted to jack off out there a lot, but never have.
Started walking, got swept up in it. Now they're doing it. They're being adventurous. They're doing it. And I think a couple like that, especially, I think if it is that type of thing where it isn't normal for them and it is like, ooh, we're doing something, they are absolutely going to freak out and run away when somebody comes up. Like
speaking of that, like, why is it that when I see these two people having sex, it's just like a funny thing that I think about, and it's been good for this podcast. However, if I heard somebody was just caught jacking off in the woods, I'd be like, they need to go to prison. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that at least they's doing it together, I'm like, oh, that's kind of romantic. But if it was it was just a dude jacking off on a stump, I'd be like, buddy, come on, keep it at the house.
Because it's grosser somehow, and not just in a homophobic way. There's something like embarrassing about masturbation that's way less embarrassing about sex, I think.
Right?
Fair or not.
Like if he's jerking off on a train, you're a creep, but if he's fucking on a train, you're exciting.
I mean, unless somebody's there with their kid, and then they're gonna be like, "You fucking creeps."
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
But I know
regardless.
What you're saying.
Yeah,
it's gonna make this a whole lot weirder.
Just because a woman is involved. If you caught a woman masturbating on a train, you'd be like, "How exciting!"
Right? Exactly.
It's going to make this already weird situation a lot weirder. But like we're talking about just like adults, right? Y'all never jerked it in the woods when you were teenagers?
Absolutely. That's
with your friends.
One of the first places I did jerk off.
Sitting on the same stump with your buddies.
Our woods, though, like not. I'm talking. I was in the park. That's the people's woods.
You're right.
Corey, you cut him off. Right. There was a whole second half of that paragraph.
I've told that story before a bunch of times.
That's why I just filled it in.
We'd agreed with what, we knew we was agreeing to.
Out dicking around in the woods. We're all 14. Somebody saw a good looking. It wasn't a stump, it was a log. You needed enough room to fit like 4, dudes on it.
That way you can make eye contact when you came.
Yeah, right. You just look. You stare at the same.
We only got one picture. Huddle up.
Right. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. To paraphrase DJ, somebody drop some titties in that mud over there.
I think about that joke
all the time.
Once a week at least.
That draw some mud titties.
Mud titties. God damn, that's so fucking funny.
So I want to, at the very least, share a couple of things about Jerry Clower for people. It's so
I
funny.
just figured we were going to tease next week's episode and just do Jerry Clower.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Because let me explain to you why. We've done about an hour already here, and I watched too much Jerry Clower for us to just talk about him for 10 minutes.
And I got
I was about to say, like,
15.
yesterday we were like, let's do a whole episode.
I know, I want to do that, and we currently haven't done that.
Yeah,
so I think it should be a tease.
I've got like an emotional attachment to it because like Mama used to play him in the car, and I'm realizing the more I thought about it, this was my first comedian, fellas.
Yeah, I that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this just needs to be a grand tease for next week's episode, which will be Jerry Clower.
All right. Yeah.
No hit for you?
Totally fine. I'm completely. Yes, it does hit for me. I'm totally fine with that. There is something funny about like teasing it out, hooking, making sure we get our hooks in, really drag them back with the with Jerry Clower segment. What? No, it will hit. It'll be fun.
You underestimate our fans.
And people who don't know who he is can go listen to him right now and be ready for it. And you can listen to just one or two stories. You'll get it. You'll get the gist of it after one or two. If you like it, listen to more. But like, there's like 8-minute tracks on YouTube or whatever. Listen to one of his stories. Marcel Ledbetter stories is where I'd start.
Absolutely.
What's happening?
I don't know. I was just trying to hold it.
I think we were just doing the same thing for a minute there. Like neither one of us talking, but for no good reason.
Yeah.
I thought Trey froze. He wasn't moving at all.
Yeah. Just doing my statue thing. You're going to edit that part out. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, we can add to the teaser here by letting everybody know there might be a little bit of dramatic tension because it will not shock you all to know that my daddy ain't fuck with Jerry Clower at all. I have known who Jerry Clower is for a long time. I got nothing but respect for him comedically. I do not have remotely the same attachment to Jerry Clower that y'all do. So maybe that will add to some of the
it's a Jesus thing.
Yeah, right. I get, yes.
You were allowed.
Yeah. He's like church.
Yeah, you could listen to the stuff that actually hit.
Clower, and it was like,
we also listened to DC Talk and pretended to like that.
What would people do if I told them that I was a Jesus freak? You know what I mean? A question that begged us for years.
React.
Is that a DC Talk
that I was a Jesus freak?
Yeah.
Did it hit?
For what it was, it did.
Yeah.
It was the hitnest of the worst genre on planet Earth.
Can you give me like
it was the Los Angeles Sparks.
Was this like a main? Was this a crossover?
What would people do if they found that I'm a Jesus freak? What would people do when they find that it's true? What would people think? Fuck my butt with a rosary.
That was a wonderful musical trend, by the way. That particular singing style that was just absolutely.
It was like it was Eddie Vedder and Travis Tritt were the two on the spectrum. You just kind of.
I read a story online once of a dude that went to a Creed concert without being a huge Creed fan, and it was like just like 2 or 3 years after Creed fell off, and he was talking about Scott Stapp being out there, and how he would do is like he would tell a little anecdote in between every song, and it would always be super pretentious, and then he would end it with something that led into this. Like, so for example, he'd tell an anecdote about saving an African orphan's life or something like that. You know what I mean? And he'd tell it very seriously. And then at the end of it, he'd be like, and then he ran to me. He ran to me with arms wide open. And that's how he did. Like,
that's so funny.
Single song, according to this random dude on the internet. But I've never forgotten that.
I really wish 2 Chainz would start doing that.
Yeah, that would rule. Yeah.
I don't know how that would go, but
Kelly kind of did versions of that,
R. Kelly did the Southern gospel shit where he sang a lot of things.
Everything.
Yeah.
I haven't seen R. Kelly once years ago, and Aziz has a whole bit about this.
It's so funny.
He doesn't ever speak a word during the entire show. He exclusively sings.
Yeah, right.
Everything he says, even things that aren't like lyrical or anything at all.
I said, Robert. I said, Robert. That bit is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's so funny.
That bit, the Kanye bit, the Pearl Jam concert bit, he was so phenomenal at
50
pop
Cent
culture.
too.
Oh yeah,
paint this shit purple.
Paint
Talking about grapefruit juice.
Yeah,
because he thought it was grape, like grapefruit was just another word for grape or something. 50 Cent has since said, "Fuck Aziz Ansari, I never did that. I know what grapefruit is," and got all mad about it, which makes it funnier to me.
That's way funnier.
Why ain't this shit purple?
Oh, fuck me. Well, boys, hey, you know what you can do before we come back next week with Jerry Clower? You can listen to us this Friday on stereo, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep. And yeah, we'll see you next week, and it'll hit.
Yeah, we'll be on there Friday it'll be me and Trey at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. It's going to be rad. It's a lot of fun. It's exclusive. It's an exclusive opportunity for you to leave us voicemails. There's no other platform you can do that for us. So download the app and check out the WellRED Podcast on there.
Yeah, boy.
Yep. We'll see y'all next time.
They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread but sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got